are going to take you to Sharonville, Ohio, where GOP candidate Ben Carson is speaking to members of the media, and he's discussing the recent comments he made about the Muslim faith.
Dr. Carson, do you think that a Muslim American would be comfortable voting with you, voting for you?
I think a lot of them would. I heard from a lot of Muslim Americans just within the last 24 hours that I've worked with, that I've trained, that I've operated on, who say, we know you, and we understand exactly what you're talking about.
Can we get your thoughts on Governor Scott Walker dropping out of the race?
You know, I know Scott Walker. My wife and I know him and his family. They're wonderful people. You know, he is a very, very good fellow. For some reason, you know, it just was not catching on. And maybe it's just not the right time. But, you know, I have nothing but admiration for him.
You know, he called on other candidates to drop out as well, so, you know, the stronger candidates can rally and maybe take down Donald Trump. He said the current Republican frontrunner. Do you think he was trying to send you a message to drop out?
No.
Why?
Because I know him. I know that's not what the message that he sent. When he said the current frontrunner, it was clear who he was talking about.
But do you think he was talking about other candidates dropping out, that you should drop out, so maybe?
No, he was talking about making sure that we get a true conservative. I don't think he thinks that I'm not a true conservative.
Doctor, do you think we need to return or at least get to a Christian America? And would you help do that as president?
Well, you know, we don't have a theocracy.
Sure.
But there's no question that our Constitution and our traditions have a Judeo-Christian base. There's no question about that. And I don't think there's any reason that we should deny that. But the First Amendment is very important. Freedom of religion. It so happens that the majority of people in this country, you know, do believe in Judeo-Christian values. And there's no way that we should suppress their beliefs, and they should be able to live according to their faith. But we never should have a theocracy.
Doctor, do you think that Donald Trump should push back on that the initial question in the intro that conservatives are controversy?
You know, I think that's a question you should ask Donald Trump. Probably a more appropriate question would be, would I have pushed back on that? And the answer is yes, I would have.
Dr. Carson, could you, on the autism vaccine question, which came up the other day, I'm not sure. I know you said it's not a logical connection between autism and vaccine, but do you think you should have been, could have been, as a scientist and a doctor, more forceful in saying, look, if you believe that and send your kids to school, you're going to get my kids sick if they don't get the vaccine?
Well, I thought it was pretty clear that I said that there is no correlation between vaccines and autism. And I explained how that came about, you know, 20 years ago. It was misinformation, and people have not been disabused of it. So, you know, we have a responsibility to make sure that people do understand that. You know, here's the thing. In our society, almost everybody gets vaccinated. And there are a certain number of people in our society who will develop autism. We have gotten much better at diagnosing it, and you know, there's a broad spectrum of diseases that fits under that category now. Because most people get vaccinations, and because we're better at diagnosing it, you know, it's not unexpected that people would say, obviously, it's being caused by the vaccinations. Even though if there were no vaccinations, you would still have a certain population of people who would get autism. Now, if everybody was required to eat carrots, the same people would be saying it's the carrots that's causing the autism. But the real science and the work that has been done in this demonstrates no correlation.
Dr. Carson, can you talk a little bit about why you're in Ohio? I mean, the Ohio primary is 6 months away. You got other primary states coming up ahead of this. So why are you doing this tour now?
I have to be somewhere, and Ohio's as good as any place. Yes.
Hey, I'm sorry. Joe Jones with CNN. I was outside.
Yeah. Okay.
Did anybody ask you about how you sort of comport your view on a Muslim president with the notion that it at least sounds fundamentally discriminatory And given the fact that you're an African-American Republican, some people might find that inconsistent.
Well, it has nothing to do with being a Muslim. That was the question that was specifically asked. If the question had been asked about a Christian, and they had said, you know, would you support a Christian who believes in establishing a theocracy? I would have said no. And then some people would say, he's against Christians. No, that's, you have to be able to look at the context in which I'm saying it.
But what is the context? How is it not discriminatory?
The context is, as I said before that question was asked, anybody of any religious faith whatsoever, if they embrace American values and they place our Constitution at the top level above their religious beliefs, I have no problem with them.
So that nationalist?
Well, I said that. It's on the record, on NBC, on Meet the Press. Did anybody pick up on that? Of course not, because that wasn't a juicy story. But that's exactly what I said. That's exactly what I meant. I don't care what a person's religious beliefs are or what their religious heritage is. If they embrace American culture, if they embrace our Constitution and are willing to place that above their religious beliefs, I have no problem with them. I said that. Why is it impossible for people to hear that?
Last question is, it goes without saying that anyone, should they take the oath for President of the United States, would swear allegiance to the Constitution and to uphold it. So every president, be they Muslim, Jewish, Catholic, Christian, Hindu, whatever, would take the same oath. So are you basically saying, take the oath, then you're okay?
Here's what I'm saying. When the situation arises and we have somebody in that situation, let's talk about it then. Okay. Why get off into theoretical situations? No point in doing that. You know, there's so many important issues that are going on right now in this country. And why is it that people are not interested in the important issues that are going on? Why are people not interested in the refugee situation that's going on in Syria? Why are people not interested in the educational problems that are going on here? Why are people not interested in the enormous number of drugs that are coming in through our southern border and are wreaking havoc on our young people? Why are we not concerned about the fact that we are not hardening the electric grid in this country and placing ourselves at enormous risk, that we're not advancing ourselves appropriately with cybersecurity? You know, I could go on and on. Why are we not talking about the income gap that is going on and what is truly responsible for it and how do we rectify it? These are big issues. This theoretical issue about Muslims, it is not an important issue.
Dr. Carson, quick question on CARE asking you to withdraw from the race yesterday. Have they reached out to you or your campaign directly, and do you intend to have conversations with these groups throughout the remainder of your campaign?
I'm happy to talk with anyone. As I've said time and time again, you know, time and time again, you know,
GOP candidate Ben Carson, he is spending the day in Ohio. He's speaking to members of the media in Sharonville, Ohio, that's just north of Cincinnati. And as you heard, he's not backing down from some recent comments that he made about the Muslim faith. He had said that he would not advocate for a Muslim president. He later said he would only support someone who was willing to put the Constitution over their religious beliefs. And he seems to be sticking by those words.